My name is Crystal Taylor. I'm 34 years old. And this is the story of how my sister destroyed my career with a single phone call, and how I used silence, strategy, and a stack of letters to make them all regret it. It started on a Thursday morning, the kind that looks ordinary until your life splits open. At 9:17 a.m., I was halfway through presenting a high-stakes quarterly financial report to a client delegation from Texas. I stood in front of the long glass table, laser pointer in hand, showing year-over-year growth when my phone buzzed on the podium. A single notification broke my rhythm. "Miss Taylor, please come to my office immediately. Mr. Rodriguez, Regional Executive Director." I almost dropped the pointer. Rodriguez never messaged anyone during presentations, certainly not someone with my track record. I had been with Elliott and Hart for 4 years, earned promotions ahead of schedule, closed over $30 million in new portfolios, and never, not once, been called out like this. I apologized calmly to the clients, smiled at my junior analyst to take over, and stepped into the hall with shaking hands. As I walked toward his office, I couldn't stop staring at the message. His door was shut, as always. 2 knocks. "Come in." The tension in the air hit like a brick wall. He didn't offer a seat. Just pointed. I sat, slowly. "Miss Taylor," he began, his voice like gravel, "we received an anonymous call this morning. The caller claimed you've been abusing substances and stealing office equipment." My heart stopped. "What?" I whispered. "The person said she was your sister, Chloe." My mouth opened, but nothing came out. I was dizzy. "She claimed you arrived drunk to multiple meetings, and that you stole AirPods from the break room. This is her written summary, and our official complaint form. As protocol requires, the board has reviewed it." I held the paper. My name was there, next to words like theft, impairment, and termination review. It felt like a nightmare printed in ink. "Mr. Rodriguez, I've never done anything like this. You can ask my team, check the cameras." "I know," he interrupted. "But in cases like this, especially with anonymous calls from close relations, the board prioritizes company reputation over internal review. Effective immediately, you are being terminated." And that was it. No hearing. No defense. Just gone. I didn't cry. I was too stunned to. Security was called. I was told to pack up within the hour. My access badge was already deactivated. My laptop wiped. For years of work, wiped away with one phone call. As I walked out of the building and stepped into the gray morning air, I dialed the one number I shouldn't have. Chloe picked up on the 3rd ring. "Hey boss lady," she chirped. "Did you call my job this morning?" My voice cracked, barely above a whisper. She laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh my God. Are you seriously mad about that? Chill. It was a joke. You're always so uptight." I stopped walking. I couldn't breathe. "I just got fired, Chloe." A pause. "Wait, what? Fired? I thought they'd just, I don't know, write you up or something." "You told them I was drunk in meetings. That I stole from the office." "Well," she huffed, "you always said you were untouchable at work." I just wanted to prove no one is. I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. By noon, I was back in my apartment in Brooklyn. The walls looked colder than I remembered. As I collapsed onto the couch, my phone rang again, this time, Mom. I shouldn't have answered. "What happened?" she barked. "Chloe says you had a meltdown over a prank. That you caused a scene." I closed my eyes. My stomach turned. "Mom, I just lost my job." She accused me of criminal behavior. "That's not a prank." Her sigh was sharp, dismissive. "Why do you always have to blow things out of proportion?" Chloe's artistic. Sensitive. She didn't mean it. I sat up. Sensitive? She got me fired, Mom. Well, maybe it's a blessing. That job was always too stressful. There's a new coffee shop opening in Midtown. Chloe's friend is managing. They need someone dependable. I felt like I was in a parallel world. I have a master's in finance, I said slowly. I handled over $400,000 in monthly client budgets. I was leading strategy initiatives for national campaigns. There you go again, bragging, she snapped. Chloe's just trying to lighten the mood. Why can't you be more forgiving? That's when I realized they didn't care that I lost everything. They only cared that Chloe didn't feel bad about it. Text messages followed. From Chloe. OMG chill, it's not that deep. Thought your boss had more sense. Then. Seriously though, want Thai food tonight? I'll pay. The casualness of it broke something in me. Not a loud break. Not dramatic. But slow. I could feel something inside me hardening. Crystallizing. I didn't respond. I didn't want food. Or apologies. I wanted acknowledgement. I wanted someone, anyone, to say that was wrong. What she did was wrong. But that never came. Instead, my dad texted. Don't let one little thing tear apart the family. And my mom chimed in. She's your sister. Be generous like we taught you. No one asked if I was okay. No one even asked for my side of the story. So I sat by my window, watching a gentle rain fall across the street. Not a storm. Just steady enough to wear things down. That's what they had done for years. Not break me, just erode me. One insensitive comment at a time. One dismissed achievement. One request to be the bigger person. But that day? That day, I decided I was done being the bigger person. I opened my laptop, logged into LinkedIn, and rewrote my entire profile. Bullet by bullet, I documented every win, every campaign, every performance review. Then, at exactly 10:17 p.m., I sent my first email to Nate Benson, head of finance at a rival firm. I had once helped his team streamline post-COVID analytics. Then I sent 6 more. Not to ask for pity. To show them what Elliot and Hart just lost. And I was just getting started. By Friday morning, my inbox lit up. 3 responses. One of them from Skylar Moore, CEO of Carrington Capital. We'd worked together 3 years ago on a high-stakes merger optimization. I remembered her as sharp, no-nonsense, and unshakable in a room full of boardroom egos. Her message was short. Aubrey told me what happened at Elliot. Call me. We need someone like you, and we don't buy into gossip. I stared at her email for a moment before realizing my hands were trembling. I wasn't just still in the game. I was about to rewrite the rules. At exactly 9:30 a.m., I joined a Zoom call with Carrington's strategy team. I wore a crisp white button-up, pulled my hair back, and stared straight into the camera. Skylar didn't ask how I was feeling. She asked, "Which high-risk portfolios have you led while maintaining positive returns?" I answered without flinching. I had data. I had metrics. I had case studies. And for the first time in my career, I closed my presentation by saying something bold. I'm not here to ask for a chance. I'm here to show you what Elliot lost. 28 minutes later, the meeting ended. 3 days after that, Carrington Capital sent me a formal offer. Position, Senior Strategy Advisor. Base salary, $152,000 plus performance bonuses. Exactly double what I made before. I didn't cry when I saw the offer. I didn't laugh either. I just sat there, calm, steady, because I knew I had earned every single dollar. And for once, no one could take it from me. I signed the offer that afternoon. My new badge arrived 2 days later. And then I began reconnecting with old colleagues, the ones who respected me. No pity, no long explanations. Just one simple message. I'm back. By Friday, I got a message from Amy Tran, Elliot's former legal advisor. She left the company after a long HR war the year before. Her message read: Rodriguez is spiraling. They just lost their largest client. Pretty sure they don't know you're the reason. I smiled. Rodriguez had fired me to protect the company's reputation. But he forgot one thing. I was the reason they had a reputation in the first place. At Carrington, I quietly drafted a competitive targeting campaign. I knew which clients Elliot was vulnerable to losing. I knew which strategies they never understood, and I knew exactly how to beat them. And while all this was unfolding behind the scenes, something else happened. The texts started again. First, Chloe. Heard you got a new job. Told you you'd land on your feet. Can you spot me for this month's studio rent? It's kind of urgent. Then Mom. Dad's thinking of remodeling the kitchen. But the contractor quoted a bit high. Can you help? Just a little. Then Tyler. My car got towed. They want $1,400 by Friday or it gets auctioned. Can you help? Not one message said, congratulations. Not one asked how I was doing. Just money. That's when I opened a new folder on my computer. Title, Family Financial Requests. Every ask, every message, every urgent excuse, I archived them all. That night, I logged into the old credit card account Chloe still used, the one I co-signed back when she was in college. Even after I asked her to cancel it years ago, she kept it active. The most recent charges? Luxury sushi, a boutique art gallery gala, 3 bottles of sake, none of it connected to her so-called freelance art career. Tyler? I had access to his bank app from when I helped him restructure his finances last year. He said his car was towed, but 80% of his spending that month had gone to gaming microtransactions and crypto tokens. As for my parents? I had helped them open a shared bank account to pay off their second mortgage 2 years ago. I logged in. The most recent debit. $5,200 for granite countertops. The same countertops they now claimed they couldn't afford. I opened Evernote. Created a new file. Logged the dates. Times. Call summaries. Screenshots. Everything. Then I opened another folder. Title, Final Letters. I didn't know exactly what I'd say yet. But I knew this, I would not explode. I wouldn't scream. I wouldn't curse them out. That's what they expected. What they could dismiss as just Crystal being dramatic again. No. This time, I would speak their language. Data. Documentation. Dates. The truth, printed, organized, and undeniable. And when I was ready, I would send it to every last one of them. But first, I needed to make sure I was untouchable. Because the next time they tried to lean on me, I wanted them to know, this wasn't the old Crystal. This was the version who lost everything, and turned it into an empire. The rain hadn't stopped all weekend. But for the first time in weeks, I welcomed it. There was something poetic about rebuilding under gray skies. Quiet. Cleansing. Like the universe was shedding old skin alongside me. By Sunday night, I had drafted the first letter. Not one soaked in venom. Not some emotional outburst. Just the truth. Line by line. I used calm, clinical language. Like I was presenting a financial audit, which, in a way, I was. Except this audit wasn't for a boardroom. It was for blood. Recipient, Chloe Taylor. Contents. Total amount spent on the credit card I co-signed since 2019, $17,844. Number of payment reminders sent, 11. Instances of verbal or written promises to cancel the card. 4. Current balance, $2,891. Last 5 purchases, 1 Chanel outlet bag, 3 Uber XL trips to gallery events, 2 subscriptions to influencer platforms. I didn't include accusations. I didn't call her names. I didn't even mention the job sabotage. Because deep down, Chloe already knew what she had done. She just never expected I'd show the receipts, literally. I sealed her envelope. Next, Tyler. His was harder. Not because I felt more pity, but because he used to be the quiet one. The one who didn't say much, who smiled at Thanksgiving, who once helped me carry groceries during a rainstorm when I was juggling a laptop and soup cans. But numbers don't lie. Money I gave him 4 business startup loans over the past 6 years, $19,000. Documented uses, video game consoles, monthly crypto investments, luxury keyboard sets. Outstanding repayment, $0. Recent claim, car got towed. Reality, gambling site deposit of $600 the day before. I wrote only one sentence beneath it. You didn't run out of money, Tyler. You ran out of my silence. Then came the hardest one. Mom and Dad. This wasn't about dollars, though there were plenty. This was about decades of being overlooked. Of hearing. You're strong, Crystal. You don't need as much. Chloe's more sensitive. Tyler just needs time. I reminded them that I paid off their debt when they were 2 months from foreclosure. That I helped them qualify for the second mortgage. That I bought their refrigerator. That I made all the holiday reservations for the past 5 years. And still, the only message they sent after I got fired was, Chloe didn't mean it. Don't let this tear us apart. I didn't write this letter to make them feel bad. I wrote it so they'd never again pretend they didn't know. I printed all 4 letters. I paid extra for certified mail with signature confirmation. I wanted to know the precise moment my truth arrived at their doorsteps. 3 days later, at 10:41 a.m., my phone buzzed. Delivered. Signed by Karen Simmons. My mother. At 10:43, she called. I didn't answer. At 10:45, a message came through. What is this supposed to mean? Pages of bank statements and receipts? Are you trying to shame us? This is disgraceful, Crystal. Disgraceful. That was her word for my truth. At 11:06, my father called. I answered this one. Did you seriously include our golf club payments and credit card debts in your letter? His voice was hard. That's a violation of privacy. I answered without raising my tone. It's not a violation. It's your account. I just returned the records to the people who created them. He hung up. Tyler messaged me at 2:19 p.m. I get you're mad. I deserve that. But did you really have to put everything in writing? I'm getting bank calls. They're threatening legal action. I took a screenshot of his message and filed it in the folder. Still asking after the letter. But it was Chloe who cracked first. Just before midnight, I got this. You've officially lost it. I could sue you. You have no right to track everything I buy. Who even does that except paranoid freaks? Then a follow-up. And by the way, the Chanel bag was outlet price, not full price. If you're gonna be psycho, at least get your facts right. I smiled. Not because it was funny. But because Chloe had always believed the truth was a suggestion, something that could be reshaped, softened, negotiated. She wasn't prepared for the version of me who documented everything. The next morning, while I was in a team strategy meeting at Carrington, the front desk buzzed my extension. Ms. Taylor, there's a visitor here for you. She says it's personal. Your mother. My stomach flipped, but I didn't show it. I walked out calmly and met her by the building's front atrium. She stood there in a pale pink yoga set, letter clenched in her hand, face puffy. "You embarrassed me in front of my friends," she hissed under her breath. Karen from my dance class opened the envelope before I did. I was humiliated. I didn't blink. "You should reread the letter," I said. "Every word. Your father is livid. Tyler's embarrassed. Chloe is devastated." "Then maybe," I replied, "you all should have considered those consequences before depending on my silence like a free pass." Before she could respond, a voice cut in. "Is there a problem here?" It was Laura from our communications team. I turned. "No. Just a personal matter. All good." Laura looked at my mother, then back at me. "If you need me to call security, just say so." My mother paled. The fire in her eyes extinguished in an instant. She didn't say another word. She handed me the letter, creased, sweaty, then turned and walked away. That afternoon, Chloe posted on Instagram. "Some people use truth like a weapon. But family isn't a spreadsheet. PSA, getting stabbed in the back by your sister still hurts." The post featured a staged suitcase photo and a final line. "Paris, one way." She was running. But not from me. From the one person she couldn't manipulate anymore. And that, I realized, was scarier to her than any letter could ever be. Tyler messaged me 2 days later. "I'm not taking Chloe's side, but, are you really gonna destroy the family over this?" Then he added. "Dad's blood pressure is through the roof. This stress isn't helping." There it was again. That old, manipulative card. Guilt. It used to work on me, that twisting of concern into obligation. That quiet insinuation that any crack in the family foundation was somehow my fault for not patching it fast enough. For not forgiving quickly enough. For not sacrificing completely enough. But not this time. I stared at his message for a full minute. Then I filed it under. Emotional blackmail posed as concern. I didn't respond. Instead, I poured a cup of chamomile tea, sat back on my couch, and opened my laptop. The Carrington Capital team had just landed a major client that Elliott and Hart had been chasing for 2 years. Guess who designed the pitch deck? Guess who ran the numbers? Guess who closed the call? Me. The same unstable Crystal that Chloe told Rodriguez was too drunk to run a meeting. By Saturday evening, I got another text, this time from Chloe again. "If you're not gonna help, just say so. Don't pretend to be busy. I know you're free this weekend. Want to grab steak? You're paying. Mom already booked the table." I stared at the screen. No apology. No reflection. Just entitlement, as if my inbox were a vending machine and she had the code. That night, I opened a drawer in my desk and pulled out 4 new envelopes. This time, each letter was accompanied by supporting documents, screenshots of charges, email threads, text logs, and digital receipts. If anyone still claimed confusion, they wouldn't be able to hide behind it anymore. I mailed them Tuesday evening, each via certified courier. I paid extra for signature photos. I wanted a picture of the exact moment each truth bomb landed in their hands. At 10:41 a.m. Friday, my mother signed hers again. This time, she didn't call. She showed up. I was in a strategy meeting when the front desk buzzed again. "Your mother is here again. Says it's urgent." I stepped into the lobby, and there she was, no yoga set this time. Just a plain sweater and her face tight with fury. She clutched the second letter like it had personally attacked her soul. "You embarrassed me in front of my friends," she said, her voice sharp and breathless. "Karen opened her mail and saw your notes. She told everyone I was mooching off my daughter." I crossed my arms. "Did you read it? Or just the parts you didn't like?" "I read all of it." She bristled. "And I don't regret anything I've done." I nodded. Then you don't need to worry about your image anymore. Everything's clear now. She opened her mouth again, but before she could speak, Laura from communications appeared behind me. Everything okay, Crystal? She asked, coolly. I turned slightly. Just a personal matter. Laura gave my mother a pointed look. Let us know if you need assistance. And for the first time in my life, my mother backed down. She turned, red-faced, and stormed out without another word. That same night, Chloe posted another passive-aggressive story. Some people act like loyalty is a bank account. When it's empty, they cancel you. Sad. It was accompanied by a photo of her passport next to a glass of champagne and a caption. Paris-bound. I need art, not arguments. I didn't respond. But Tyler did. A day later, he sent me a quiet message. Hey. Just saw Chloe's post. I don't know what to say. I know I've messed up. A lot. If you're willing to talk, I'll come to you. Something shifted. Not because I trusted him. Not yet. But because it didn't sound like manipulation. It sounded like shame. Real shame. The kind that feels unfamiliar because you've been ignoring your own conscience for years. I didn't invite him over. But I wrote back 2 words. Start there. The next evening, my apartment buzzer rang again. Not with demands. Not with outrage. But with all of them. My whole family stood in my hallway, coats still on, faces tight with discomfort. Mom. Dad. Tyler. Chloe, trailing behind, arms crossed and holding a reprint of my letter. We need to talk, Mom said, not asking. I let them in. Chloe dumped the letter onto my coffee table like it was evidence in a crime trial. What is this? She snapped. Some weird psychological revenge plot? You gonna leak this to the media next? I didn't flinch. I walked to the drawer, pulled out a thick folder, and placed it beside her letter. Since you're all here, let's have a meeting. Tyler sat down first. Dad hovered by the wall. Chloe sat, arms tight, leg bouncing. Mom paced. I opened the folder. Let's begin with recent charges, I said. Versace. Dinner at Belle's, $428. 3 vague Amazon purchases. Chloe tried to speak. Don't interrupt, I said. All documented. All from the card I asked you to cancel 5 years ago. I turned to Tyler. 3 tow notices in the past year. Each from unpaid parking violations. Same month you spent over $800 on gaming tokens. You told me you needed money to get your car back. That was a lie. He dropped his gaze. Dad, I said, turning. 5 separate payments to the golf club this year. Mom told me you were struggling to pay for kitchen remodeling. Turns out, you weren't. No one moved. No one dared speak. Then I looked at Mom. For 20 years, I've been the one who made it easy for all of you to avoid accountability. I made it convenient. Comfortable. I helped. I forgave. I showed up. But now? Now I'm done buying loyalty with silence. The room was frozen. Then. Tyler exhaled. I owe you. And I've never said that before. But I do. And I'm trying to fix it. Chloe stood. And what about me? You want me to grovel? You want me to say I'm evil? No, I replied. I want you to be honest. You ruined my career on purpose. She blinked. Her jaw tightened. Then, she nodded. I didn't think it would go that far. But yeah. I hated how perfect you always seemed. How Mom and Dad praised your job and acted like I was just floundering. I didn't think it would ruin your life. I just wanted to dent it. Mom cried. Not the usual overdone kind. This was quiet. Small. I didn't realize, she whispered. I thought. I didn't see how much we leaned on you. How little we gave back. Dad looked down. I spent years resenting your success, he said. Not because I didn't respect it. But because I envied it. And I let that envy turn into debt. Literally. I took a breath. Then I asked, are you ready to change? No one spoke for 5 seconds. 10. Then Tyler nodded. Chloe followed, eyes red. Mom touched my hand. I don't know how. But I'll try. Dad added, no more silence. From any of us. I didn't forgive them that night. But I gave them a chance. And this time, I held the pen. 3 weeks passed after that night in my apartment. Not everything changed immediately. There weren't grand gestures or family dinners filled with sudden laughter. But the silence shifted. It was no longer the kind that buried things. Now, it made space for something new. One quiet Sunday morning, I got a text from Tyler. Sunday. 5 p.m. Come home. No pressure. Just, some things we all need to say. I sat with that message longer than I expected to. Because part of me didn't believe in this new version of them yet. I'd spent years holding a fractured family together while pretending the cracks weren't slicing me open. It wasn't easy to forget that. Still, I got in the car and drove. Their house in suburban Brooklyn looked different. Not physically. Same paint, same bushes, same cracked driveway. But there were no flashy decorations. No expensive dad's sports car in the driveway. No mom waiting out front with overcompensating energy. It was just calm. I knocked once. Mom opened the door. Gone were the pink yoga sets and flashy necklaces. She wore a plain gray sweater and jeans. Her hair was pulled back in a simple bun. She gave a small, genuine smile. I quit yoga, she said before I could speak. Figured I should try sitting still for once. I nodded, still cautious. Inside, Dad was toasting bread. The smell of butter filled the house. He looked up, gave a respectful nod, and went back to his task. Tyler was in the corner, headphones on, typing something on his tablet. Chloe, she was sitting at the kitchen table. Coloring. A design sketch for a gallery exhibit, it seemed. No show. No facade. Just them, as real people, not caricatures of their excuses. We all gathered in the dining room, like a makeshift boardroom. It was awkward. But not tense. Just unfamiliar. Mom poured me a cup of peppermint tea. We've been going to a family counselor weekly, she said softly. It's not easy. But it's helping. I raised an eyebrow. All of you? Tyler nodded. Even me. He scratched the back of his neck. I joined the city's addiction support group. I also took a night job delivering packages. It's not glamorous, but I cover my own phone bill now. I didn't speak. I just listened. Chloe picked up a small notebook. I started journaling my therapy sessions. I've been to 4. It's weird, but I'm showing up. I also work at the local gallery now. Not managing it, admin. But I clock in every day. There was no smugness in her voice. No sarcasm. Just honesty. Then Dad slid a piece of paper across the table. It wasn't a check. It was a list. Title, Contribution Plan for Crystal Taylor Consulting. What's this? I asked cautiously. No money, he said quickly. Just what we can help with, cleaning out storage for your office, offering basic legal research, decorating help. No strings. No asks. Just help. At the bottom were their signatures. Dad. Mom. Tyler. Chloe. I sat there for a long time, looking at that paper. It wasn't perfect. But it was a start. This time, Chloe said quietly, we won't ruin it. If you're building again, we'll help you build the fence, not tear up the foundation. A part of me melted. Not completely. But enough to let some of the old pain loosen its grip. The next few weeks were a blur of momentum. Carrington Capital, as promised, became my biggest client. But that wasn't the goal anymore. I wanted to build something that lasted, something that didn't rely on anyone's approval to stand tall. A month later, I filed for my license. Crystal Taylor Consulting. A firm focused on small business financial restructuring and family-owned enterprise strategy. Because, let's face it, no one knew more about fixing broken family finances than I did. Then came the unexpected. I got a call from Larry, my boss at Carrington. Aubrey told me about your new venture, he said. I told the board, if Crystal opens her own firm, I'm backing it. You don't have to, I said, stunned. I don't have to do anything, he replied. But I want to. You've earned it. And just like that, I had my first silent investor. 6 figures in seed capital. I built my team slowly. I didn't need a massive office. Just people who believed in the mission. And I kept my boundaries intact. We held quarterly family meetings, not for dinners, not for holiday photos, but to report on progress. Financial. Emotional. No one was forced. But if you lied, you were out. Everyone agreed. Mom was the first to report. I started a repayment plan for the credit card debt. And your father's building our first real household budget in 15 years. Chloe said, I'm managing the Instagram account at the gallery. For the first time, I feel seen, not because of you, but because of me. Tyler raised his hand like a school kid. 6 weeks gambling free. And I haven't borrowed a cent since the beginning of the month. I didn't jump for joy. I didn't cry. I just nodded. Quietly. Proudly. Because for the first time, I wasn't the one holding up the house alone. I was part of it. But not the foundation. And I liked that. 9 months after the final confrontation, I visited my parents' house for dinner. Not out of guilt. Not out of obligation. But because I chose to. I brought a tray of homemade waffles. They were Mom's favorite. She opened the door, smiled gently. Come in, oh. I mean, Miss Taylor, she said, laughing awkwardly. Still trying to break the habit of talking to you like a child. I laughed back, genuinely this time. Inside, Dad was reading a finance magazine. He held it open to a specific page. They featured your firm, he said. Your mom showed it to Betty next door. I glanced at the headline. The woman who turned hurt into strategy. No fanfare. No over-the-top celebration. Just quiet pride. The kind that didn't make me flinch. At dinner, we didn't talk about Chloe's sabotage. Or Tyler's scams. Or credit cards. Or second mortgages. We talked about Mom's new granola recipe. Tyler's new savings account. Chloe's latest gallery sketch. As the night wound down, Chloe pulled something from her bag. A letter. I wrote this for you, she said, eyes soft. Not to apologize. But to say thank you. For not cutting me out, even when I deserved it. I took it but didn't open it. You're not a shadow anymore, Chloe, I said. You're yourself. Tyler grinned. And I'm learning to be responsible. Finally. No one called me the strong one that night. No one asked me to fix anything. And that was the real victory. It's strange, the first time your phone rings and you don't brace for guilt. That's how I knew real change had started, not in a big moment, not in some grand gesture, But in the silence that followed a call from my mom where she asked nothing, demanded nothing, and simply said, "How's work?" No mention of Chloe's rent. No suggestion that I chip in for the water bill. Just a genuine question. 3 weeks after that quiet family dinner, I was invited to be the keynote speaker at the Northeast Strategy Conference, one of the biggest events in my field. Topic: How emotional intelligence can restructure a broken business model. The irony didn't escape me. Because I didn't learn emotional intelligence from a book. I learned it from being raised in a house where love came with a receipt. Where I became fluent in silence, just to keep peace. Where I was expected to carry the load, praise my siblings, and apologize for breathing too loudly when they couldn't find their footing. And now? Now I was being asked to teach others how to restructure systems built on imbalance. The night before the conference, I stood in front of my full-length mirror in a navy pantsuit, nothing flashy, just strong. Clean lines. No armor. Just boundaries. I opened Chloe's letter again, the one she gave me at the dinner table. It was messy. Ink smudged in places. A few typos. But it was real. Asterisk Crystal. You were always the one we leaned on. But I leaned so hard I didn't notice you were falling underneath me. I sabotaged you not because I thought you'd fail, but because I knew you wouldn't. That made me jealous. Bitter. You never yelled. Never hit back. That made it worse. I wanted to see you break. But you didn't. You built something better than any of us could have imagined. I don't expect you to trust me. But I want you to know, I finally see the difference between attention and respect. And I respect you now. Chloe asterisk. I folded the letter and tucked it into my notebook, not as a token of forgiveness, but as proof that people could evolve if you stopped cushioning their every fall. At the conference, I stood in front of 300 professionals, many of them with MBAs, years of experience, and polished LinkedIn bios. And yet, when I told my story, every face turned to stillness. I didn't name names. I didn't say, my sister got me fired. I said, I was betrayed by someone I trusted more than anyone. And it made me realize that strength isn't staying quiet. It's documenting the truth. It's speaking it when no one else will. Applause thundered before I'd even finished. Afterward, a woman from a tech firm came up to me, teary-eyed. My daughter hasn't spoken to me in 2 years, she said. After your talk. I think I finally understand why. I nodded, squeezing her hand. Then you're already on your way. When I got home, there was a voicemail from Dad. I heard your keynote. One of my golf buddies was there. Said you made everyone cry. Just wanted you to know. I'm proud of you. Not just for the firm. But for finally standing up to all of us. We deserved it. I stared at my phone. Dad had never, in his life, said anything like that. But there it was. A sentence carved out of stone, finally softened by time. The next quarter, our family meeting felt natural. No one was late. No one made excuses. Tyler showed up with his budget spreadsheet printed out, complete with charts. Chloe brought mock-ups for a gallery's rebranding and asked for strategic input, not money. Mom had prepared a meal, simple, healthy, intentional. I read about financial boundaries, she said, placing a dish in the center. Apparently they prevent resentment. Who knew? I smiled. Not sarcastically. Just with peace. After we ate, they handed me something. Not a gift. A document. It was a notarized statement removing my name from Chloe's old credit card. Tyler had opened his own bank account and started repaying old debts with micro-deposits. Dad had shut down the golf club membership completely. And Mom? She enrolled in an adult learning program on financial independence for retirees. We're not asking for money anymore, she said quietly. We're asking for chances. To earn back your trust. That night, I didn't dream of confrontation. I dreamed of balance. Of family not as a burden, but as a choice. A circle that expanded only when earned. Weeks later, I hosted our first holiday at my office. No giant tree. No fake smiles. Just a small catered meal in the conference room and a framed quote on the wall. Respect begins where entitlement ends. We laughed. We told real stories. And when Chloe spilled cranberry sauce on my new blazer, she rushed to clean it without making a joke. Without dismissing it. Just, I'm so sorry. That was the moment I knew we were different. That she was different. Later that evening, she pulled me aside. I saw your firm featured in Forbes Small Biz Monthly. I didn't know you'd built all that, on your own. I looked at her. I didn't build it on my own, Chloe. I built it the moment I stopped trying to fix everyone else. She nodded, eyes soft. You were right, you know. About all of it. About Mom. About me. Anne. I don't want to be the problem anymore. I didn't hug her. Not because I didn't care. But because I didn't want her to think this moment needed a performance. It was enough just to say it. And for once, saying it was enough. 9 months after Chloe's phone call cost me my job, I stood outside my parents' house with a tray of homemade waffles in one hand and my car keys in the other. I wasn't armored. I wasn't angry. And that was the biggest change of all. Not because I had forgotten everything. But because I had boundaries now, and for the first time, they respected them. Mom opened the door wearing a soft cream knit sweater and no makeup. Her smile was gentle, unhurried. Come in, she said. Then corrected herself. I mean, if you want to. I laughed softly. I do. Inside, Dad was brewing coffee and reading the paper. Tyler sat at the dining table, typing something into a spreadsheet, his delivery job's inventory tracker. Chloe was curled up on the couch, sketching on her tablet. A mock-up for a community mural, she later told me. There was no drama. No staged scenes. Everyone had their own life now. Their own role. And most importantly, self-respect. Dad poured me a cup of tea and handed me a folded magazine. Turn to page 22. I opened it slowly. There it was. Crystal Taylor, the woman who turned hurt into strategy. A full article, glossy spread, photo of me sitting confidently at my firm's conference table. Subheadings on emotional leadership, financial literacy, and why revenge isn't about payback, it's about transformation. I showed it to Miss Betty next door, Dad said, smiling in that quiet, restrained way that only comes from real pride. She said she always knew you were going to do something big. We had a simple brunch. No reminiscing about Chloe's betrayal. No dissecting Tyler's past debts. No justifications. Instead, we talked about our goals. Chloe wanted to host her first gallery showcase next spring. Tyler had just opened his first high-interest savings account. Mom was considering writing a small guidebook on managing family finances, something for parents like her who'd grown up thinking daughters were backup plans. At the end of the meal, Chloe reached into her purse and pulled out another letter. I wrote something else, she said, not looking up. Not because I owe it. But because I wanted to. I took the envelope but didn't open it. Just held it in my lap. You don't have to say thank you, I said. Or sorry. Not anymore. Just keep showing up. She smiled. That's the plan. Tyler raised his glass of orange juice. To Crystal, who finally stopped saving us so we could learn to save ourselves. We all clinked glasses. Even Dad, who once avoided emotions like they were overdue bills. Later, as I was leaving, Mom followed me to the door. Crystal, she said softly. I know you haven't forgotten everything. I know it still hurts, somewhere. I paused, keys in hand. Yeah. It does. She nodded. But, can you forgive me? Not just for what I said, but for how long I let it all go unnoticed. I looked at her. No tears. No theatrics. Just truth. Not yet, I said. But you're on the right path. She didn't push. She just nodded again. Slowly. Gratefully. Driving back into the city, I didn't turn on my usual business podcasts. I played soft music. Windows cracked, spring air drifting in. The skyline shimmered ahead. My firm's name was now listed on 3 major platforms. We had onboarded 5 clients in the last month, 2 of which were former Elliott and Hart accounts. Not that I was keeping score. Okay, maybe just a little. But the biggest win? I no longer flinched when my mother's name popped up on caller ID. I no longer braced for guilt when Chloe texted. And I no longer felt like I had to prove my worth through self-sacrifice. My family didn't become saints. No one had a miraculous, made-for-TV transformation. We still had awkward silences and tense moments. We still stumbled. But the masks were off. There was no strong one. No golden child. No black sheep. We were messy. Flawed. Real. And finally, we were learning to be a family by choice, not by default. This is my story. Not of revenge, but of reclamation. Because sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is stop bleeding for people who only notice when you stop. And when you finally do, you realize you never lost them. You just stopped losing yourself. Crystal's journey is a reminder that speaking up, no matter how late, is not betrayal. It's survival. And sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't fire or fury. It's freedom. What would you have done in Crystal's place? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful, true-to-life stories, right here on Revenge Echoes, where stories speak louder than revenge.